Hello, and welcome to what is, hopefully, we'll see, to be a long-running series, Lone Wolf Wednesdays, in which I, the Blobber, will be playing the Lone Wolf Saga, a digital Android implementation of the original text adventure games. Like literal, you'd have a book, and that would be a choose-your-own-adventure style book. You'd read a couple of paragraphs and be like, make a decision. Do you want to turn left? Do you want to turn right? Do you want to fight the monster? Do you want to run away? Sort of decisions. Um, you'd manually keep track of on a separate paper. Your health, your inventory. There's a sort of digital equivalent. Well, there's a analog equivalent of an automated dice rolling system where you'd close your eyes and wiggle your hand around the page, and it would land on a random number generator, and you'd use those random numbers to run combat. I really, really liked these games as a kid. Middle school, I read as many as I could get my hands on from the school library, from 3 or 4 different local libraries, and I'd go to one, borrow the book, search the database. It would tell me that the next book isn't in this library, it's in the other library, in the other, 4 suburbs over in the other direction, and then I'd go to that one and get that book, and etc., etc. Okay. Does it hold up to my childhood memories? And just how good is this digital implementation? This is an Android implementation, so you yourself can get this on the phone. It is completely free, as you notice down the little text thing that I'm slightly blocking. The Oh, bless me, author. The author released a digital copy of the original books as part of his Millennium gift to the universe. It is freely available. And this little program for downloading a digital copy of the books and doing the automated dice rolling and inventory management is also free. So this is something that you yourself can actually play before. We haven't done... We played the DS homebrew version of this for Welly maybe a year ago, but the DS version only has the first 2 books from memory. It might be the first 5, but it only certainly has very few of the first few books, whereas this is supposedly more or less everything up to the end of the Grandmaster series before he becomes Yoda and starts training new people. Okay. Hi, series. Light from the dark. Let's go. Oh. No. How do we start from the start of the thing? Yes, restart book. This was just testing that it works. Okay. The story so far. In the northern lands of Summerland, it has been custom for many centuries to send the children of the warrior lords to the monastery of Kai. There they are taught the skills and disciplines of their noble fathers. The Kai monks are masters of their art, and the children in their charge love and respect them in spite of the hardships of their training. For one day, when they have finally learnt the secret skills of the Kai, they will return to their homes equipped in mind and body to defend themselves against the constant threat of war from the Dark Lords of the West. In the golden times, the Age of the Black Moon... olden times, Age of the Black Moon, the Dark Lords waged war on Summerland. The conflict was long and bitter, a trial of strength that ended in victory for the Summerlanding at the great Battle of Marchengorg. King Olnar and the allies of Durandor broke the Dark Lord armies at the pass of Moitura and forced them back into the bottomless abyss of Makengorge. You have potentially more for me later on? Vashna, mightiest of the Dark Lords, was slain upon the sword of King Olnar, called the Summer Sword, the Sword of the Sun. Since that age, the Dark Lords have vowed vengeance upon Summerland and the House of Olnar. Now it is in the morning of the feast of Fairman, when all the Kai Lords are present at the monastery for the celebrations. Suddenly a great black cloud comes out of the western skies. So many are the numbers of the great black-winged beasts that fill the sky that the sun is completely hidden. The Dark Lords, ancient enemies of the Summerlending, are attacking. War has begun. On this fateful morning, you, Silent Wolf, the name given to you by the Kai, has been sent to collect firewood in the forest as punishment for your inattention during class. As you are preparing to return, you see to your horror a vast cloud of black, leathery creatures swoop down and engulf the monastery. Dropping the wood, you race to the battle that has already begun. But in the unnatural dark, you stumble, striking your head on a low tree branch. As you lose consciousness, the last thing that you see in the poor light are the walls of the monastery crashing to the ground. Many hours pass before you wake. With tears in your eyes, you now survey the scene of destruction. Raising your face to the clear sky, you swear vengeance on the Dark Lords for the massacre of the Kai warriors. And with a sudden flash of realization, you know what you must do. You must set off on a perilous journey to the capital city to warn the king of the terrible threat that now faces his people. For you are now the last of the Kai. You are now Lone Wolf. Proceed to next thing. Okay, you have your green tunic and cloak. You have little to arm yourself with. All that you possess is an axe and backpack containing 1 meal. Hanging from your waist is a leather pouch containing your gold crowns. To find out how many, pick a number from the random number table. This number equals the number of gold crowns you possess at the start of the adventure. You discover, amongst the smoking ruins of the monastery, a map of Summerland showing the capital city of Holmgard and the land of Duranor, far to the east. You place the map inside your tunic for safety. You also find one of the following objects. So, roll starting equipment. Meal and axe. Roll crowns. 1! Oh, that's horrible. Proceed. Your mission will be one of great danger, for the Dark Lords and their servants are cruel and fierce enemy, who give and expect no mercy. Use the map to help you steer a correct course for the capital. Make note as you progress through the story, for they will be of great help in future adventures. Many things that you find will aid you during the adventures. Special items will be of use in future Lone Wolf adventures, and others may be red herrings with no use at all. Be selective in what you decide to keep. There are many routes to the king, but only one involves a minimum of danger. With a wise choice of Kai disciplines and a great deal of courage, any player should be able to complete the mission, no matter how weak their initial combat skill or endurance score. In honor and memory of the Kai Lords, you will go on your perilous journey. Good luck. Oh, it didn't actually have me, repick my skills, which is interesting. So I picked... You basically at the start when you're building your character, which it's somewhat skipped over because I said restart this adventure, as well as rolling for my combat skill and health. I think I've done somewhat well on the health one and sort of average on the combat one. You get a whole bunch of skills to pick from. I picked hunting. This lets you find food, more or less no matter where you are. Sixth sense is essentially spider sense / I sense a disturbance in the force, sort of short-term premonition. Tracking is also... I always was a little bit... As a kid, I didn't like that tracking sort of somewhat overlaps with hunting. Hunting is specifically getting food, whereas tracking is more tracking people rather than animals, although sometimes you also will use it for animals. The implication is more you're finding things that you want rather than hunting for food. Healing is extreme. Like, I would almost say this is the only necessary skill out of all of the ones that you would pick. When you suffer damage, lose endurance from a fight, every time you would change page, so it would say, like, go to the next section. If you choose to go left, go to page, or go to section blah blah blah, on page blah. every time you made one of those transitions, if you have the healing skill, you get a hit point back. So it's a constant source of regenerative healing. This is the thing that I consider the most useful of the starting skills. And Mind Blast is essentially, you have like, I can make you attacked with the power of my mind. It lets you have slightly higher combat skill by like +2 against monsters that aren't immune to your psychic powers. There's also a defensive version of this, so at the moment I can attack people psychically, but I have no psychic defense. And there are some monsters that will psychically attack me, and because I don't have the defense, my attack skill versus them will be lower. We've rolled Axe, we have our map, and a chainmail waistcoat. Well, that's not too bad a roll. Could do worse than a chainmail waistcoat, as well as our 1 crown. How do we... I'm worried that that's not going to do what I want. Okay, it does do what I want. Also, there's map. So we can have a look at the lovely map. So we start off here, in the Kai Monastery. And memory is we're meant to make our way over to here, to the capital. Or maybe we're just going here to start with. But I feel like we're going here. It's been a long time. Well, from being a kid. And I don't specifically remember everything from when we played the DS version of this book like a year and a bit ago. In any case, back to it. You must make haste, for you sense it is not safe to linger by the smoking remains of the ruined monastery. The black-winged beasts could return at any moment. You must set out for the summer-lending capital of Holmgard. Here we go, so we can actually go look that up. Was it the faraway one? No, so we're only going here. Okay, maybe later we go over there. And tell the king the terrible news of the massacre, that the whole elite of Kai warriors, save yourself, have been slaughtered. Without the Kai lords to lend her armies, Summerland will be at the mercy of their ancient enemy, the Dark Lords. Fighting back tears, you bid farewell to your dead kinsmen. Silently, you promise that their deaths will be avenged. You turn away from the ruins and carefully descend the steep track. At the foot of the hill, the path splits into 2 directions, leading into a large wood. Do you want to go to the path to the right? If so, turn to section 85. Do you wish to follow the track to the left? Turn to page 275. Or do we want to use our Kai discipline of Sixth Sense? Do we want to use the Force/Spidey sense to determine what is the right path? Well, we've got the skill, we might as well get the use out of it. Section 141. Your Sixth Sense warns you that some of the creatures that attacked the monastery are searching the 2 paths for survivors of their raid. But you could avoid both by making your way through the undergrowth of the woods. If you wish to head south, go to section 56. If you wish to cut through the heavier foliage towards the northeast, turn to 333. I think if they're trying to search for us, we should stay under the heavier cover. You have cut your way through the thick undergrowth for nearly half an hour when you hear the beat of wings high above the trees. Looking up, you can just make out the shape of a Kran approaching from the north. It is one of the monsters that attacked the monastery, and on its back are 2 greyed skin creatures armed with long spears. These are mountain Giaks, servants of the Dark Lords, full of hatred and malice. Many centuries ago, their ancestors were used by the Dark Lords to build the infernal city of Helgadad, which lies in the volcanic wastelands beyond the Dernkrag range of mountains. The construction of the city was long and torturous, and only the strongest of the Giaks survived the heat and poisonous atmosphere of Helgadad. Hidden by the trees, you freeze, staying absolutely still as the Kran crosses overhead and disappears towards the south. When you are sure that it is gone, you move once more into the forest. You have covered about... see, already healing is proving useful. That hit on the head, that donk on the head that knocked us out at the start and cost us some health, completely fine. You've covered about a quarter mile when you hear shouting. and a noise like thunderclaps ahead. Edging nearer, you soon make out a clearing. You recognize it to be the site of the ruins of Raumus, an ancient forest temple. A war party of Giaks, some 25 to 30 strong, is attacking the ruins from all sides. Many more of the Giaks are dead or dying among the broken pillars of marble, but still they assault whatever is hidden inside. Suddenly, a bolt of blue lightning rips through the front ranks of the Giaks, sending the armor-clad creatures tumbling in all directions. A Giak, taller than the others, dressed from head to foot in black chainmail, curses at his troops as he whips them forward with a barbed flail. With weapon ready, you move to the edge of the clearing, under cover of the thick foliage, to try and catch a glimpse of the defenders. To your amazement, the ruins are being defended by a young man, too soon, no older than yourself. You recognize his sky-blue robes embroidered with stars. He is a young theurgist of the Magicians' Guild of Tauren, an apprentice of magic. And sometimes, in addition to the text, the books would have these lovely illustrations of what's going on. So here's Wizard Boy in his robe, and he's casting Lightning Bolt! Lightning Bolt! 5 Giaks charge forward, their spears raised to stab the apprentice, as he hurriedly retreats deeper into the ruins. You see him turn and raise his left hand just before a bolt of blue flame shoots from his fingertips into the snarling Giak soldiers. Close to where you are hidden, you see a Giak scuttle past and climb one of the pillars of the temple. He has a long, curved dagger in his mouth. He is about to jump on the young wizard standing below. Shout a warning to the wizard, or run forward and attack the Giak when he jumps, or pick up a chunk of marble from the temple and throw it at the Giak's head, or leave and run back into the woods. We're not quite that level of coward. I think we're going to help attack the Giak and help Wizard Man. Just as the Giak makes his leap, you race forward and strike out with your weapon, knocking the creature away from the young wizard's back. You jump onto the struggling Giak and strike again. Due to the surprise of your attack, add 4 to your combat skill for the duration of this fight. But remember to take it away again once this fight is over. So it has less than half our combat skill and a tiny fraction of our health. Initiate combat. Round 1. Fight. I want to be using my axe, please. Am I meant to start with a secondary weapon? Maybe I'd rolled poorly on that starting thingy. Okay. Fight. You're able to defeat your enemy without taking too much damage. Very good. We killed it in a single combat round. And we only suffered 1 HP of damage. If you win, turn to page 325. Well, we won. Upon seeing you emerge from the woods, the Giak officer shouts, "Oggot! Oggot!" to his cowering troops, who flee the ruins and run to the safety of the forest. Shaking his mailed fist at you, the black-clad Giak screams, "Rangan, Rogak, Ok, Orgadad, Daka, Okak, Rogag, Gaj," before leaving. Surveying the scene of the battle, you count 15 dead Giak lying among the broken pillars of the ruins of Raumus. The young wizard wipes his brow and walks towards you, his hand extended in friendship. He's a young, blonde-haired youth with deep, brooding eyes. His face is lined with exhaustion and the grime of battle. His long, sky-blue robes bear evidence of living rough in the wilds. He shakes your hand and bows. "My eternal thanks, Kai Lord. My powers are nearly drained. Had you not come to my aid, I fear I would have ended my days atop a Giak lance." He is weak and unsteady on his feet. You take his arm and sit him down upon a fallen pillar, while you listen intently to what he has to say. "I am Bandon, a journeyman to the Brotherhood of the Crystal Star, which is the Magicians' Guild of Tauren. My guildmaster has sent me to your monastery with the urgent message." He removes a vellum envelope from his side his robes and hands it to you. As you see, I have opened the letter and read its contents. When the war started, I was on the highway with 2 traveling companions. The Kran attacked us, and we lost each other in the forest during our escape. The letter is a warning to the Kai Lords that the Dark Lords have mastered a vast army beyond the Durncrag range. The Guildmasters urge the Kai to cancel the celebration of Fairman and prepare for war. I fear that we were betrayed, says Bandon, his head bowed in sorrow. One of my order, a brother called Vonatar, has explored the forbidden mysteries of the black art. 10 days ago he denounced the Brotherhood and killed one of our elders. He has since disappeared. It is rumoured that he now aids the Dark Lords. We tell Bane that of what has happened at the monastery, and of your mission to warn the king. He removes a gold chain from around his neck and hands it to you. On the chain is a small crystal star pendant. It is a symbol of my brotherhood, and we are truly brothers in this hour of darkness. It is a talisman of good fortune. May it protect you on your road ahead. Scrolly, scrolly, scrolly. You thank him and place the chain around your neck and slip the crystal star inside your shirt. Remember to add this to your inventory. Bandon bids you farewell. We must leave this place, lest the Giaks return with more of their lonesome kind to put an end to the both of us. I must return to my guild. I bid you farewell, brother. May the luck of the gods go with you. Boop. Just one sec. I need to adjust my side window things. With the wave of his hand, Bandon leaves the ruins to you, and you continue your mission, pushing on through the thick woods ahead. You have not gone far when you realize several pairs of yellow eyes are watching you from the undergrowth to your left. Suddenly, a black arrow skims the top of your head. It is a Giak ambush, and you must run away as fast as you can to escape it. As you race through the trees, you can hear the horrible cackle of the Giaks close behind. Soon the trees start to thin out, and directly ahead of you, you can see a rocky hillside. If you break cover and climb up the hill, turn to 311. If you choose to change direction and continue to run through the forest, yeah, let's not start climbing a mountain when we're being chased. The mountain Giaks are unaccustomed to pursuing their prey through forests, and you soon outdistance them, until finally the sound of their grunts and curses disappears completely. When you are satisfied that they have given up on the chase, you stop for a few minutes to catch your breath and check your equipment. With the memory of your ruined monastery blazing in your mind, you gather up your meager belongings and push on. Just ahead, through the tall trees, you can see clumps of dark red gallow brush, a thorny briar with sharp crimson barbs. The common name for this forest weed is sleep-tooth. The thorns are sharp and can make you feel weak and sleepy if they so much as scratch your skin. I have tracking, so we can presumably find a safe path through it. No, we've detected a friendly village nearby. Avoid the sleepy briar bush and go to 272. Keeping a watchful eye on the sky above, you quickly move along the track. You recall that this route leads to the Fogwood, a small cluster of huts that have been used by a family of charcoal burners for nearly 50 years. After 20 minutes, you reach the edge of a clearing where the huts are grouped in a small circle. There is no sign of the usual mist of wood smoke which gives Fogwood its apt name, and the huts are unusually quiet. We do indeed have tracking. Using your skills, you detect some Giak tracks around the perimeter of the clearing. The prints are fresh, and you can tell that the cruel minions of the Dark Lords were in this area less than 2 hours ago. Forewarned by this knowledge, if you still choose to investigate the huts, or if you would rather avoid the clearing, let's not maybe get ambushed. Keeping a careful watch on the huts for any sign of the enemy, you make your way around the clearing under the cover of the trees and bracken. Rejoining the track, you hurry away from Fogwood. In the distance, perched on the branch of an old oak tree, is a jet black raven. I do not have talk to animal skill, which is like one of the... After a couple of books, we gain the ability to gain an extra skill, and I'm relatively certain that I will choose talk to animals, animal kinship. It lets you talk to, get directions from, give commands to animals, as well as sort of making them know that you're not, like, you are or aren't aggressive. It can help do that. Like a big bear, if a big bear decides it wants to eat you, you're not going to, like, talk it into not. But you might, like... You might convince, like, a big elk or something, like, hey, I'm not a predator, you don't need to, like, attack me, bro. Usually it's used for things like mice and birdies for finding information, as I remember. But we do not have this skill. So, sucks to be us. As you approach, the bird flies off above the trees and disappears from view. You search the tree on which it was perched, finding nothing. At least nothing unusual. Rather than waste any more time, you continue off along the track. After a few minutes walking, you see a stranger, clad in red, standing in the center of the track ahead. He has his back towards you, and his head is covered by the hood of his robes. Perched on his arm is the raven you saw earlier. Call the stranger, approach him cautiously, or draw your weapon and attack. We'll go with the cautious. You died because of the wounds you suffered by one. You have taken less than 10 paces when the raven squawks a warning to the stranger. Turning to face you, the robed creature utters a piercing screech that freezes your blood and grips your stomach with fear and panic. It is a Vordak, a lieutenant of the Dark Lords, one of the undead. Within seconds, a host of Giaks appear at its side and attack you. You fight bravely, but are greatly outnumbered. The last thing you remember is the icy grasp of the Vordak's skeletal fingers as they close around your throat. No, let me adjust this, please. Thank you. Deaths 1. We try again. Roll. We get 2 gold this time and an extra weapon instead of the chainmail. Okay. Same skills, we will again use Sixth Sense. You are allowed to use emotes again. Yes, you are, Dutchy. Not just pokey-tonguey out. We will go through the heavier foliage. We help the wizard. Oh, poor enemy. We win. We talk to Bane again. He gives us the pendant. We will go through the forest. I do have tracking. I don't remember the player being possible to be insta-killed. But I don't exactly have the random number table in the back of my... Like, I don't have access to it in this. I think you'll just lose a lot of health in one combat roll. Okay, let's investigate the huts more then this time, I guess. Through the open doorway of the first hut, you can see the body of a charcoal burner, lying face down on the rough stone floor. He's been murdered, stabbed in the back by a spear. All his furniture and belongings have been smashed and broken, and not one piece remains intact. This is the evil handiwork of Giax, without any doubt. For they delight in the destruction of all things. A quick check of the other huts reveals a similar story of murder and wreckage. In the last hut that you search, you discover a Giax spear. Proof of your suspicions. You may keep this weapon if you wish. Look at the objects. Oh, so this is saying, do you want to trade? Yeah, I don't really want the mace. You can only carry 2 weapons, but I wouldn't mind the spear. Sure. I do not, Dutchy. I do not. In the distance, perched on the branch, is the birdie thing. We can't, because we don't have bird talking. Okay. Well, let's not call the stranger. Let's just attack. You're only 10 or so feet away from the robed stranger when the raven squawks a warning to its master, who instantly spins around. You are frozen in your tracks by the hideous apparition of a Vordak, a lieutenant of the Dark Lords and one of the undead. You must fight him. Due to the surprise of your attack, you may add 2 points to your combat skill for the first round of combat only. So we are only 1 skill higher than him, and only 3 hit points higher. Unless you have the Kai discipline of Mind Shield. Yeah, so because he's one of these undeads that has psychic attack, he's actually making up for his slightly lower combat skill by attacking us psychically. We better hope to get reasonable damage in on the first round. This is the first round, so I get my bonus. I will use my axe, yes. And as our secondary, I can't pick the spear? Maybe spear counts as 2-handed. Next. He takes 6 hit points of damage and we 3. I no longer get my first round surprise bonus. (21 to 14). Okay, that was a good roll. Our random roll really helped, and so we take 1 damage to his 10. You barely survived the encounter with this enemy. You are now gravely injured and should try to heal as soon as possible. Alright, this time we defeat it. Don't worry. Old Man Blobber forgets a lot of things, Dutchy. Okay, we win. As the creature dies, its body slowly dissolves into a vile green liquid. You notice that all of the grass and the plants beneath the smoking fluid are beginning to shrivel and die. A large, valuable-looking gem lies on the ground near the body. If you wish to take the gem, turn to 304. If you would rather leave it and run, I'm going to try and take the gem. Ouch! I'm lucky we weren't on 2 health. The gem feels incredibly hot and burns your hands. You pick it up with the edge of your cloak and slip it into your backpack. A gem this big must be worth hundreds of crowns. But the Giax are very close, and their arrows whistle past your head as you turn, and run for the safety of the forest. As you dash through the thickening trees, the shouts of the Giax begin to fade behind you. You have nearly outdistanced them completely, when you crash headlong into a tangle of low branches. Roll a random number. If you have -9 to -11 combat skill, and you roll a 1, then you can insta-die. Okay. Well, if you roll between a 0 and a 4, go here. If you roll between a 5 and a 9. So this is RNG in our story. You are held by the mass of tangled branches and roots. Eventually you free your right hand, grab your weapon, and hack your way slowly through the foliage to the clearer forest beyond. Your cloak is torn in many places, and your left arm is cut, badly bruised above the elbow. Take 2 hit points damage and turn to the next section. You have been trudging through the forest for nearly 2 hours. The nagging fear that you are lost seems to be a reality. Apart from the occasional cry of a cran in the distance, you have seen or heard no evidence that the enemy is in this part of the forest. You descend a rocky hillock and see something unusual in the tangled woods ahead. Surrounded by thorny briars and closely packed roots, you see the entrance of a tunnel disappearing into the hillside beyond. It is approximately 7 feet in height and just over 10 feet wide. As you get closer, you can feel a slight breeze coming from the inky blackness. If the other end of this tunnel emerges on the far side of the hill, it could save you many hours of difficult climbing, but it could also harbor unknown dangers. Do we enter the monster cave? How about we climb the hillside? As you begin your climb, you hear the beat of wings approaching from the west. Coward! I'm on like half health, Bane. Cran, by the noise they are making, you estimate that there are at least 10, perhaps even more. You curse your bad luck, for the hillside offers no cover from the sky. If you are attacked during this climb, it will be nearly impossible to fight back. The game agrees with you, Bane, and it wants us to go into the cave. Or we could try and remain completely still and hope that the cran will not spot us. We will take the possible danger to the certain danger. The tunnel is dark and the air is much cooler than outside. You carefully advance with one hand on the tunnel wall to aid your sense of direction. You've been in total darkness for 3 minutes when you detect the foul smell of decay ahead, similar to rotting meat. If you have a torch and tinderbox, you may light it. Suddenly, something heavy drops from the tunnel ceiling onto your back, and you fall to your knees. It is a burrow crawler, and you must fight it. It is trying to strangle you with its long, slimy tentacles. If you don't have a torch, you get -3 to your combat during this fight, because you're fighting in the dark. It's also immune to Mind Blast, and we cannot animal friendship it. It doesn't have very great combat skill, although better than us considering that we're dark fighting. And it doesn't have that much health. One more hit. We took 4, he took 4. Your enemy was able to stab you before you killed him, but it didn't harm you too much. Let's go on now. We're down to 12 of 28 health. If you win, turn to 319. The slimy creature lets out a long, ghastly death cry as it collapses. You are near to panic and scramble to your feet, grabbing what you think to be your belt from the jaws of the dead beast. You can see light in the far distance, and you sprint for it as fast as you can. When you emerge into the daylight, you fall onto the leafy ground and fight for breath in painful gasps. Slowly sitting upright, you notice that you are still wearing your belt. You had not lost it at all. What you had grabbed from the jaw of the burrow crawler was a leather strap with a small pouch and a sheathed dagger halfway along it. You break it open at the clasp to find it contains 20 gold crowns. We're rich! You may take both the dagger and the crowns, if you are able. Do I want the dagger more than a spear? Yeah, I'll say we'll want the potential to conceal a weapon like a spear. I don't remember doing that in any of these games, but it seems possible. Cool. Then proceed. The forest begins to thin out, until finally you can make out the road ahead, through the trees. The highway is full of people heading south. Many are wheeling their possessions along on handcarts. If you wish to join the refugees and perhaps learn more of what has happened, turn to section 30. If you would prefer to continue to move south, but under the cover of the trees, turn to section 167. Yeah, let's talk to the civilians. The people look tired and hungry. They have come many miles from their burning city. You hear the beat of huge wings coming from the north. Kran! Kran! Hide yourselves! The cry goes up along the road. Just in front of you, a wagon carrying small children breaks down. Its right wheel jammed in a furrow. The children scream in panic. If you wish to help the children, turn to page 194. If you would rather run for the cover of the trees, turn to page 261. We aren't called helpful wolf. Yep. We aren't called helpful wolf. Sweating and out of breath, you part the dense undergrowth to see a Kran hovering above the wagon. 3 ghoulish Giaks drop from its back, startling the horses. They advance upon the helpless children with their spears. If you wish to run back and help the children, go to page 208. If you want to run deeper into the forest, we bravely run away. You have not gone far when you hear the sound of battle to the west. If you wish to follow the sound, turn to 97. If you would rather continue south, turn to 6. We should avoid the battle, I think. In the distance, you can hear the sound of horses galloping nearer. You crouch behind a tree and wait as the riders come closer. They are the cavalry of the King's Guard, wearing the white uniforms of His Majesty's army. If you wish to call them, turn to 183. If you wish to let them pass through and continue on your way, let's talk to the Kniggets. The officer orders his men, we should tell them about the children, to halt and asks you your business. You tell him who you are, how the monastery has been destroyed. He is deeply saddened to hear your news. He offers us a horse and asks you to accompany him to Prince Pelethar, the king's son. Sure, we'll take a horse. Ahead of you, you can see a fierce battle raging along the stone bridge. The clash of steel and the cries of men and beasts echo through the forest. In the midst of the fighting, you see Prince Pelethar, the king's son. He is in combat with a large grey Gorgaz, who is wielding a black axe above his scaly head. Suddenly, the prince falls wounded. A black arrow. We're out of the forest now, Vama. In his side. If you wish to defend the fallen prince, or if you choose to run away. Yep. Prince gets help. Children, not so much. Oh god, it's stronger than us. The creature that you now face is a Gorgaz, one of the race of cold-blooded reptilian creatures that dwell deep in the treacherous Makenmire swamps. Their favorite food is human flesh. The prince's sword lies at your feet. You may pick up and use this weapon if you wish. It is about to strike you. You must fight him to the death. Oh, I don't know this is gonna go well. Well, we did more damage than him. We did more damage again. Very good. Woo! We rolled quite lucky. Okay. We succeed. Go to section 82. The giant Gorgaz lies dead at your feet. His evil followers hiss at you and fall back from the bridge. The prince's soldiers form a protective wall around you, and their dying leader with their shields. Black arrows whistle past your head. The dying prince looks into your eyes and says, "You must take a message to my father. The enemy is too strong. We cannot hold them. The king must seek that which is in Duranor, or all is lost. Take my horse and ride for the capital. May the luck of the gods ride with you." You bid a sad farewell to the prince Mount his white steed and head south along the forest path. The battle still rages behind you as the prince's men fight off another assault on the bridge. The prince's horse is a magnificent animal, fast and sure of foot. You gallop along the twisting track as if it were a straight highway, until the noise of battle has disappeared far behind you. You are hungry and must eat a meal. So one of the rules is if you can't eat when you're told to eat, you lose like 4 HP. And I think there might have been something like if this happens 3 times in a row, you die? Though I'm not sure. After several miles, the path stops abruptly at the junction. There is a signpost, but it has been hacked down. We will eat our 1 meal. You eat a meal, after which you continue. If we want to use tracking, go to 254. That sounds like a wise idea. Use our skills. Your tracking tells you that several trails from the right path lead off in the direction of the left path. They have been made by large wolves. The Dark Lords use these beasts to scout for their armies. They are vicious creatures and often ridden by Giacs. The left path heads towards Holmgard, which is where we're supposed to be going to, and the right leads off towards the Duran Crag Mountains. So do you head towards the enemy or towards the place you're supposed to go? Left. Towards where we're supposed to go. You have ridden about 3 miles when in the distance you spot the unmistakable silhouette of 5 large doom wolves. Riding on their backs are Giacs. They seem to be going on ahead to where the path leads down to an open meadow. One of the Giacs leaves the others and begins to ride back towards you. Let him pass. Go to 176 or fight. I would like more health before we fight, so let him run past. You hide behind some thick bushes so that the Doom Wolf and its rider will not see your white horse. It seems to work. The beast lopes past and vanishes down the track that you've just come along. If you wish to attack the remaining riders, or if you wish to go deeper into the forest... I'm not attacking 4 Doom Wolf riders, no. You ride deeper and deeper into the forest. Silently you thank the prince for such a fine horse, and although the ground is a tangle of briars and roots, the horse never once falters. The Doom Wolves are soon left far behind, and you bring your horse to a halt. The light has faded fast, and it is almost night. Press on ahead, or, if you wish to bear left... No, press on ahead. You have covered about 2 miles when the trees thin out ahead. You see a small wooden shack on the edge of a lake. A cloaked man approaches and offers to row you and your horse across the lake for a fee of 2 gold crowns. Let's use our spidey sense. You sense something is wrong. With fighting all around and the forces of the Dark Lord so near, why has this man stayed in the forest? You feel a strange aura of evil around him, and decline his offer. Night falls, and you are soon engulfed in total darkness. To press on would be useless, for you would be sure to lose your way. Tethering your horse to a tree, you pull your cloak about you and fall into a restless sleep. And healing has been doing its wonder, and we're almost up to full health from that, half health that we had dropped to. You are awoken by the sound of troops in the distance. Across the lake you see the black-cloaked figures of Dracharim and a pack of Doom Wolves and their riders. A Kran appears above the trees and lands on the roof of the small wooden shack. It is ridden by a creature dressed in red. The Kran takes off and begins to fly across the lake to where you are hidden. Fight the creature? No, thank you. Continue. Deeper into the forest. As you push on into the forest, you hear the wings of the Crown pass above the trees and disappear northwards. You ride for nearly an hour until you come to a clearing. On the far side is a track that leads off to the south. If you wish to enter the clearing and take the south exit, turn to 34. If you would rather skirt the edge of the clearing and pick up the track further along, turn to 118. There's a dragon around. So let's... Well, dragon thing. Let's avoid going out into the open. You spur the horse to a gallop and race down the long, straight path. In the far distance, you can make out the silhouette of Holmgard. On the horizon, its high walls and tall spires glinting in the morning sun. Your path joins a highway running north to south. It is the main turnpike road between the northern port of Toren and the capital. You set off towards Holmgard, your eyes peeled for Kran in the clear morning sky. And full health! You've ridden several miles and have seen no sign of refugees. You race on towards a high ridge in the middle distance. You should be able to see the capital from there. As you reach the peak, the sight that meets you on the far side is one of hope. But there is still one challenge you know you have to face. Before you are the tall, grey-white walls and glimmering spires of Holmgard, the city's banners fluttering from the battlements in the fresh morning breeze. Stretching out towards the west, the river Eldil traces its course from the mountains of the Derncrag Range to the Holmgolf. But below the mountain peaks, you can see a vast black army marching relentlessly towards the capital. To your right, you can see the highway heading off over the rolling plain towards Holmgard. At a gallop, you could make the outer fieldworks of the city's defences in less than an hour, but you would be in the open for most of the time and vulnerable to the attacks of the Cran. Directly ahead of you, a wide river drifts sluggishly towards the Eldil. If you abandoned your horse, you could swim towards the outer defences under cover of the riverbanks. Or there is a final alternative. To your left lies the Graveyard of the Ancients. These tombs are crumbling monuments to a forgotten age, and might conceal your approach, but it is a forbidden area. Many are the unnamed horrors that lie there in restless sleep, waiting to consume an unwary trespasser. So we've got highway, hide in the river, or go through the totally not zombie-infested graveyard. River. Peering over the steep undercut of the riverbank, you can see a tangle of driftwood. Along the water's edge, a large tree trunk has grounded on a clay bank next to a small canoe. If you wish to use the log, turn to 223. If you wish to use the canoe, turn to 4. Let's have a look at the canoe. It is a small one-man canoe in very poor condition. The wood has split and warped, and the craft appears to be leaking. You quickly patch up the worst of the holes with some clay and bail out the water. This seems to stop the leaking for a moment. Stowing your equipment at the bow, you set off downstream using a piece of driftwood as a paddle. After a short while, you hear the sound of horses galloping towards you. Let's use our spidey sense. Your senses reveal that more than just horses are headed towards you. You can make out over the very high shrieks. You can just make out the very high shrieks of Giak war cries in the distance. By the number of cries and curses, you eliminate that there are over a dozen Giaks, and probably Doomwolves as well. You decide that advertising your existence is not a good idea. Peering out carefully, you can see 3 green-clad men on horses racing along the bank. You recognize them as border rangers, the regiment of the King's army that polices the western borders. One is wounded and slumped over the neck of his horse. Close behind follow a pack of 20 Doomwolves, their Giak riders firing arrows at the rangers, which fall all around them. One ranger drops from his horse and rolls down the riverbank, a black arrow deeply embedded in his right leg. Help the ranger, or stay hidden. We're on full health. Let's risk it. Swimming towards the bank, you can see the ranger spread-eagled at the water's edge. You reach him, but find he has broken his neck in the fall and is dead. 2 Giaks jump down from above, and you must fight them. You are unarmed and must fight them with your bare hands. Deduct 4 points for combat skill for the duration of this fight, and you must fight them one at a time. Ow! Still, they've got considerably less combat skill than us. I want my axe. Oh, can I put the dagger in my second hand now? Indeed I can. 3 versus 8. 2 versus 10. Barely but a scratch. And then the second one. 4 versus 5. 3 versus 7. 2 versus 10. If you win, turn to 165. Black arrows embedded themselves in the mud all around you. More Gieks have appeared on the steep slope of the riverbank and are firing. There is no cover on this side of the river. If you wish to dive into the water and swim with the current, go to 294. If you wish to swim across to the cover of the trees on the other bank, let's swim down the river. Staying underwater as long as you can, you surface to see the Gieks far behind you. You have lost your weapons and backpack, but at least you are still alive. RIP! You wade out of the muddy water and continue your journey under cover of the trees that line the right-hand bank. Pick a number from the random number table. You have picked 0 to 2. Go here. In the far distance, you can make out the silhouette of soldiers on barges that are strung out in a line across the river. You can hear the low growls of doomwolves returning along the opposite bank. For once, you throw caution to the wind and sprint along the riverbank towards the barges in the distance. You have been spotted by the guards, who level their crossbows at you. We will walk slowly, with hands raised. 2 soldiers and a sergeant runs towards you, their crossbows aimed at your head. As they get nearer, they recognize your Kai cloak, and a look of relief spreads across their faces. My lord, where are the other Kai masters? We are in desperate need of their wisdom. The Dark Lords press us most cruelly, and our casualties are high. You inform them of the fate of your kinsman, and the urgency of your mission, to see the king. He takes you back to the barges, where an officer accompanies you on horseback towards the high walls and main gate of Holmgard. You reach the main gates of the capital and stare at awe at the height of the city walls. 200 feet high, the walls of Holmgard have withstood the ravages of both time and the Dark Lords. You and the officer race through the tunnels of the inner gatehouse, 100 yards in length, and finally halt outside the doorway of the main watchtower. Great crowds of soldiers and civilians are running to and fro. So, do we continue following the officer, or try and go on our own? I reckon we'll follow the officer. Staying close to the officer, you follow him through the arced portal, up a short set of stairs. The soldiers run back and forth, bearing ornate orders and scrolls to officers stationed around the city walls. A haggard and scar-faced man dressed in white and purple robes of the king's court approaches you and bids you follow him to the citadel. Sure. You follow the man into a small library off the main hall. He pushes one of the many books on the shelves which line the 4 walls. You hear a metallic click. One section of the bookcase slowly slides back to reveal a hidden passage. If you do not wish to enter the dark corridor, leave the guild hall and return to the street. Let's trust this guy. You walk for 10 minutes along a dark and winding corridor and start to climb a steep staircase to a small wooden door. He presses a secret catch and the door opens. You enter a large, plushly decorated room with huge marble bath that takes up one corner of the room. The man suggests that you refresh yourself here while he seeks an audience with the king. You bathe quickly and change into white robes that have been left out on a large marble table. A man returns shortly and leads you through a long corridor lined with exquisite tapestries. You finally arrive at a large door guarded by 2 soldiers wearing silver armor. You are about to meet the king. You enter the Chamber of State, a magnificent hall, lavishly decorated in white and gold. Good day, Bob. The king and his closest advisors are studying a large map spread upon a marble plinth at the center of the chamber, their faces lined with worry and concentration. A silence fills the hall as you tell of the death of your kinsman and of your perilous journey to the citadel. As you finish your story, the king approaches and takes your right hand in his. Lone wolf, you have selfless courage, the quality of a true Kai Lord. Your journey here has been one of great peril, And although your news comes as a grievous blow, the spirit of your determination is like a beacon of hope to us all in this dark hour. You have brought great honor to the memory of your masters, and for that we praise you. You receive the praise and heartfelt thanks of the entire Hall of Honor. Of the entire hall. An honor that brings a certain redness to your young face. The king raises his hand, and all the voices cease. You have done all that Summerlund could have asked of your loyal son, but she is yet in great need. The Dark Lords are powerful once more, and their ambition knows no bounds. Our only hope lies with Duranor, with the power that once defeated the Dark Lords an age ago. Lone Wolf, you are the last of the Kai. You alone have the skills. Will you journey to Duranor and return with the Summer Sword, the Sword of the Sun? Only with that gift of the gods may we crush this evil and save our land. If you wish to accept the quest for the Summer Sword, begin your adventure with Book 2, Fire on the Water. Woo! Book 1 success. 1 book, 1 death. Not too bad. Not too bad. Join us for Book 2,